Not to cry. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for coming, especially the boys. One thing about playing professional sport is you play for your mates and you don't let each other down. So to see all you boys here today, really appreciate that. I started off my journey in rugby league as a small boy from Whakatane, chasing a dream, and I'll leave this game as a grown man who learned a lot of life lessons and I think turned into a pretty good person. I feel privileged and honoured that what the game has given me, the life I've been able to live, 19 seasons in the NRL, is double the length of my life that I've been able to live. So it's been a long time for me. I want to thank the NRL for letting me be a part of this great game. I'd like to thank the West Tigers, South Sydney Rabbitohs, the Brisbane Broncos and the St. George Illawarra Dragons for the opportunity to represent those four great clubs. I'd like to make special mention to South Sydney, Blake, Wayne, the club for the opportunity to, in my opinion, finish on my terms, for the chance to represent this great club, wear the jersey, play with such a great team, and I feel like really help my legacy be in a place where I really wanted to be when I finished playing this game. So thank you, South Sydney Rabbitohs. I'd like to make extra mention of the West Tigers, where I'm a life member. I spent the majority of my rugby league life playing for the West Tigers. Won a competition in 2005 with them, something I'll never forget, but had the opportunity to play in front of a lot of fans, in my opinion, my greatest fans and the people who followed me throughout my career and gave me a great opportunity. And I'd like to thank all my coaches, starting with my school coach, Greg Lenton from Kibra Park, who, even though I played a lot different, I had this big, jumpy, ugly-looking sidestep thing that everyone thought was weird. I used to do these wacko passes and everyone thought was not normal. And this guy, Greg Lenton, encouraged me to be able to play the way that I want to play and let those talents come out. I'd like to thank all my other coaches I had throughout the years, and I'd like to make special mention of Tim Sheens, who really helped me come through and become the player that I am today. His mentorship, his coaching, his encouragement of me being able to use my skills is second to none. And I'd also like to make special mention of the guy sitting next to me, Wayne Bennett. I know Wayne knows this, but I would have been retired about 7 years ago if it wasn't for him giving me the opportunity at Brisbane. Sometimes you just have a special connection as player and coach, and some people would say father and son. But Wayne, I really want to thank you for the opportunity and for you believing and trusting in me to have this moment today, because without being here, I don't think this would be the same. So thank you, mate. I'd like to thank my extended family, the Marshall family. I'd like to thank my parents, Mick and Onley Doherty, my mum, Lydia, my two brothers, Jordan, Jeremy, Uncle Ben's and Auntie Michelle, and the extended family. Your support. And I got a message off my cousin this morning who really summed it up for me is, I've done a lot of things in my career. I've had a lot of highlights, a lot of proud moments in my achieving life. But the thing I'm most proud of is what I got told this morning, and that's I set a pathway for our family to follow that was different from the normal back home. Gave them something to aspire to, something to chase. I made it possible for them that if I could live my dream, they can live their dreams. So that's what I'll be most proud of. I'm really proud I got the opportunity to have both my kids with me in my last game on the field. They mean the world to me, Fox and Eva, really special. And I don't know if I forgot anyone. Better not. I'd like to thank my wife, Zoe, for being my rock, my constant support. people don't understand when you ride the wave of the sport, there's highs and lows, and through the lows, you pick me up, and through the highs, you held me high. I'll be forever grateful for the sacrifice that you made for me to be able to live my dreams, including the 2 weeks quarantine that I had to spend with you. It was such a pleasure. But I owe a lot of this back into my career to what you've helped me achieve, and I really love you for that. I was looking back at some highlights this morning, and I've done some good stuff. Seriously, from a flashy young kid doing all this weird stuff to a man who's given this opportunity, I feel really lucky. So I just didn't want to miss this opportunity to say thank you to all the fans in general in rugby league. As rugby league players, without the fans, we don't get to do what we do. We don't get to put on a show for you guys. Like there's no other feeling like it. Running out in front of a packed stadium with your fans cheering or booing. There's nothing like it. You're the best fans in the world. So to you guys, thank you. I'll be forever grateful for this opportunity. Thanks.
I'll just ask Wayne to say a few words about Benji.
Well, I didn't think you could be that serious for this long, Benji. That's the first thing I've learned today. So I've learned another lesson working with you. But what a remarkable career. And I think how he's presented himself here today makes you realise what the game's done for him and what he's done for the game. I've had the pleasure of coaching him at 2 clubs and also in the New Zealand team, and when we're all part of the winning World Cup side. And I've always gravitated towards him. When I saw him first play, as I said on countless occasions, I would be over football, but I want to watch him play. It was so exciting. He just brought that unpredictability, which was part of his game all his career. And but there was another part that I learned about him. I think I picked him in the All-Stars team initially, and I learned about what a great bloke he is and how committed he is to everything around him, team, mateship, all the things that are important, and family. And I've seen him evolve from being single to being married with 2 children now and accepting responsibilities that go with that. But at the same time, he's remained Benji. Always been fun to be around, but also the serious side when it comes performance time, training time, whatever. I think one of the great things he brought for us this year, which a lot of people wouldn't realise, was just the mentoring of some of our younger players. He just naturally does it. It's not something that he's makes himself do. He just naturally does it because he cares. He wants them to have the opportunities that he's had and be in the teams that he's been in and share all those wonderful moments we have together. At South Sydney, we've got a really rare group of players that I think help each other enormously, but he just fitted into it, took his place in it, and made a difference to all of us. I've never had any hesitation when he's rang me to look for a club on the 2 occasions when things were a bit tough for him, but because I just always loved what he brought. And I also knew what a great team man he was, and always dumbfounded me a little bit to think that clubs could not see those values. I mean, sometimes as you get older, it gets a little bit more than just the actual football you can play. It's how much influence you can have on the group around you as well. And he brought all of those things. And I love what his cousin wrote to him today. He's right. He influenced the whole generation of his family, but he also had a great influence on a whole generation of rugby league people, particularly guys that played his position. And, at my first coaching part of my life was Alan Langer was a guy that everybody wanted to watch, but then along came Benji, and he was the guy that everybody wanted to watch. So you had a wonderful career, mate. And as you've said, and I totally agree, being able to go out on your terms. And I'll just leave you this little story on him. When he rang me, I as I said previously, I asked a senior playing group, and we're all across the board. We all wanted to do that. I talked to coaching staff. We all wanted to have him there. But, without hesitation, I just said to him, you'll be number 14, and that's how we'll play it, and that's how we get through the season. He didn't blink. He said, that's great with me, coach. He said, as long as I'm in the 17, he said, I'll play anywhere you want me to play. And he did that through the season. He played it from hooker to every position in the back line at some stage of the year. So, mate, I'm so pleased today you came here to thank all your fans as well, because, as I said, I think it was probably the most intimidated I've ever been to a game of football was the first night you played for South, and we're at at the footy stadium and you got up and started to warm up, and the crowd started to go off, they wanted you on the field. And normally I don't, listen to all that stuff, but they carried on there for about 2 or 3 minutes, and you kept warming up, making out you were warming up. You're just trying to get my attention. And I thought they would have hung me if I didn't put you on. But, I love the way the South fans accept you in the club as well, mate. They just thought you were one of theirs all of their career. And that just says what you mean to the game. My last point is your playing career was unblemished, mate. You played the game in the right spirit right till the end. There was no rubbish in you. There was I can't remember you ever being sent off. 19 seasons of just doing your absolute best. So congratulations on your career, mate, and on your retirement today.
Thanks, buddy.
Before we open up for questions, I'd just like to say a few things on behalf of the ownership and the board and the members and the community of South Sydney. We marvelled at your performances and the way you played the game for many, many years, and we're extremely fortunate and grateful that we got to see you wear the red and green this year. So it means an awful lot to us. And Wayne's right. You became a fan and member favourite from the minute you signed your contract. I remember the cheer you got at the season launch was one of the biggest of the night. I've got a devastated 13-year-old daughter at home who you're her favourite player, so I ain't break the news to her. So it says everything about you, the way you play and your style of play and the person you are. Wayne touched on it. You talked about your legacy. We'll get the benefit of that legacy in future years with the way you mentored and influenced the whole playing squad, in particular the junior players. We wish you, Zoe, and your beautiful family all of the best, and you're always welcome back at the Rabbitohs whenever you want. Thank you.
Buddy. Thank you.
So open up to questions now.
Benji, congratulations on a remarkable career. You mentioned this wasn't playing. What is now the right time?
Oh, I just don't think it gets any better in terms of timing. And the more I thought about it, if I don't make this decision now, I would have played till I was probably 40. You know what I mean? So I just love the game so much, but this just really felt like the right time for me. A time where I felt like there was a lot of good stuff being said about me. I would just hate that to go on for one season too long.
You mentioned all the weird moves you did as a youngster. Well, me and my friends grew up trying to replicate them. Like, has it settled in just the impact that you have in the game?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. It's sort of something that I get embarrassed with sometimes when you talk about that stuff. It's, I just grew up doing that stuff, and I used to idolize people who used to do that stuff too. So, it means a lot to me. And that's why I wanted to thank the fans for that, because, I don't know, not a lot of people get to have the career that I've had. And when you talk about influence, the older I've become and the more I've become a leader, you always look back to see who you're influencing. And I was always really proud of what I could see the people following me were doing. So hopefully that answers your question.
What it was about that school.
Oh, they just gave me an opportunity. Got on a plane. They gave me a scholarship, and my mum sent me straight on the plane there, and they looked after me from 16 all the way till I left school. And at the time, they were in connection with the West Tigers, so that's just how it started. But the coach there was the guy who, when everyone told him that I was just a touch footballer, he put me in and gave me an opportunity and encouraged me to use those skills in a different way. And without that, I might not have been where I am today.
Where does it rank in the players and coach?
First, he told me.
I've told you that, mate.
I know, I've seen that. He said about Cody too.
Well, when they talk about the great players of the game, with the past or the future, he'll always be in that category of players. No doubt about that. None at all. How do you define the greatest player of all time? I can't do that, but I can tell you that he's in that category. And I think, you don't realise that as you go through with your career, and I'm sure he didn't, but the influence he's had on the game, the way it's played, and the players that want to be like him are many. And that's, I think, is their greatest legacy for players, is that young boys growing up, seeing him play, and they want to be like Benji Marshall, Andrew Johns, Alan Langer, all those wonderful players that I've been a part of the last 20, 30 years. So, no, he'll be up there in all the conversations.
Never had a Kiwi immortal.
No, that's good.
You don't have to answer that.
Well, he's won premierships, he's won World Cups, he's done everything in the game can offer.
That's too embarrassing.
But that's another day, an immortal. But I'm sure he's happy with his career. He doesn't have to be immortal.
No.
You know that his career is all that it could have been. And you got to remember with him, like he had a couple of bad injuries when he was young. He had to overcome those, and I'm sure they were, part of his longevity. But they did manage to be able to get through without further injury to his shoulders. But they were pretty serious at the time, and it was a great love for the game, as he said. It's kept him at it for 19 years, and it's a credit to him.
If you could have had a run around the Gold Coast next year, I understand what made this on field. Why did you consider?
Well, that's a story for another day. But I did consider playing on. I did, but the more I thought about it, the more it was time for me to move on. And, like I said earlier, my family's put a lot of sacrifice into moving around for me and doing things for me. And I just think it's time for me to change that and put my family first. And although they've always encouraged me to do what I wanted to do, this is just where I'm at. These guys will probably be embarrassed because they all said when they turn up to training, I turn up happy every day. You know what I mean? That's part of the secret. You got to love what you do, and I still love what I did. I'm just glad I get to go out this way. Yesterday morning about 8 a.m. I told Zoe. That was it. I just said I think that's it. I think this is probably the right time. I just going into the grand final, I didn't want to have to made that decision in my head already because I didn't want the pressure that I felt like I had to play any harder or try and do anything different than my job. And I didn't want it to be about me that week, which I'm really glad it wasn't. So, but that's why I took this opportunity while we're still here, get out of the way. I don't want to drag it on any longer. And, like I said, I'm really grateful for that.
It's hard to reflect on the great piece. Just mentioning now. How do you want people to think about Benji Marshall?
I think I touched on it earlier is, especially for kids who grow up probably the way I grew up, just there's a pathway and an opportunity to make it and live your dreams if you work hard enough. And, I had 5 shoulder reconstructions in the first 5 seasons of my career and got told to retire. But just out of perseverance, resilience and having good people around me, I was able to get through that. So, and one of the things I really wanted to stress today was no one has a perfect career. You're going to always have lots of ups and downs, positives and negatives. And it's how you come out of those negatives and how you ride those positives. And for me, I'm really proud of how I fought back from all my setbacks. And I think that's a testament to the way I was raised, to the values that my family instilled in me at a young age. And like I said, I'm really lucky. I had a great family support and continue to have that support. And and that's rugby league's not always, the slide at the end of the tunnel. But if you can bounce back and be proud of the way you bounce back, I think that's more important, especially with lessons in your life. And for these young guys, I think that's a very important lesson. Is people remember you for the way you bounce back.
Benji, what have you got planned for the future?
Yeah, I've just agreed to a deal with Fox Sports for the next 2 years, full time. So, really looking forward to that. Transitioning into the media is something I really enjoy, and I did forget to thank the media in my speech earlier. Love it or hate it, good stories, bad stories. I did want to say thank you for the opportunity. He's hyped me up big time when I was young and pulled me back down very quickly, which was great. But it's all part and parcel of the game, and without that, we don't have the game as well. So before I did forget that, I wanted to mention that.
When Benji's in the media, do you give him an interview?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give a better interview to him than most other people. Yeah.
Way better. Question that's
They always talk very late about the time they're pouring. Do you consider that being the time to have a part of that?
Oh, we'll just get through today first, and then assess what's next from there on. I just really want to enjoy this moment to, I suppose you could say, celebrate what I've been able to achieve in my career, especially with my family. I'm looking forward to the most. Go on a nice holiday, and hopefully Wayne pays for it. Hey, Dad. As long as I'm in the will, I'm sweet.
Wayne, what have you got planned for the future, mate?
I knew that question was going to
Don't tell him. Don't tell
I
him.
had a pre-prepared answer, by the way.
Oh, go tell him.
Normally I don't have one, but I have one for you. Today's about Benji. It's got nothing to do with me.
That was the last question. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks, boys. Thanks, mate. Thanks, man. Thanks.